Good morning. I'd like to call this work session of the Southampton Town Board to order on this 24th day of September 2020. Please rise if you're able and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. All right. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Snyderman,
Here.
Councilman Lofstad, Councilman Martell,
Here.
Councilman Bouvier,
Here.
Councilman Scivone.
Present.
Yes, Councilman Lofstad was unable to be here today, but we do have a quorum. So we're going to start with the discussion about the Flying Point Beach Boathouse project.
The bathhouse, yes.
I'm sorry, bathhouse.
Yeah, so it's been some time since we've been in front of you to discuss this project. For obvious reasons, things have been stalled a little bit, but we would like to continue pushing ahead. And the last time we sat with you, we had proposed a full renovation that would change the footprint and layout of the building. And at that time, the pricing was coming in close to the $900,000 range. We were asked to revisit some other options, including potentially installing a new prefab building in a different location on the property. Subsequent to that, Matt Jadlecka, who's here with me from LKMA, they conducted a topographic survey, and we did meet with the town's chief building inspector. The proposal either to do the prefab or to do the renovations we were initially proposing would trigger the need to meet the FEMA requirements for flood-based elevation. So we would have been looking at elevating either of those buildings significantly. I think it was 17 feet and 19 feet.
Well, the FEMA zone, there's a line that goes right through the building and is VE 17, which means that you have to be over that 17 feet by a certain amount. The parking lot's at elevation 6. So any sort of substantial improvement triggers meeting FEMA. And if we have to raise the building to, say, 19 feet to, the floor, the building's it's going to be, 10, 11 feet in the air, have a huge ramp going back and forth just to get to that height.
19 feet above sea level.
19 feet.
So with the parking lot at 6 feet, 19
parking
feet,
lot
so the
6
building
feet.
would be up 13 feet.
Right. So as long as, if you have a more restrictive zone that comes through your building, you have to meet that more restrictive section.
Sure.
So even though the parking lot section is AE 15, which, is still fairly high, we had to meet the 17 with any.
Even if you move it back a little bit outside that zone?
If we moved it back into the parking lot, we would be outside of the AE 17 zone, or the VE 17, but within the AE 15. So that would mean that.
Still have to raise it.
We still have to raise it. And the fact that it's already there, and if we pull back from a substantial renovation to more of a repair and just make it look nicer, we can get underneath that substantial improvement line and just keep it the way it is.
Okay.
But,
That's the
make it
same
look
issue
nicer.
we kind of had at Tiana with the inverter, and we had with that building that was
Right.
pre-existing. So, okay.
So, so we're here today because we wanted to update you on the project, and that is our current proposal, is to renovate the existing building as it is in its current footprint and layout, but to provide nice improvements, including new wall finishes, accessories, lighting, decking, roofing. So
Does it
basically,
include the surround, or no? Is that off?
It's the.
Enclosing the porch, or no?
Right, that was the original proposal, was to expand the interior space to enclose to where the columns are. We eliminated that because that raised the cost to a significant level. So the proposal is just to leave it essentially as is, make sure that it's handicapped accessible within the bathrooms, and repair and paint, redo the roof,
Okay.
Certain things, when we
Are
met
you
with...
doing the cupola, or is that out?
No cupola. When we met with Dennis, he said there are certain things that we can do that fall under like a maintenance, that don't push the dollar value to the significant, it's all about the dollar value.
That's fine. All right, so the number must be way down then.
Yes, so we were very, we've been looking at current projects that have been coming in, so, we tried to keep a good range in the budget. So we're currently at approximately 250 to 300,000, and that would include the new guard booth as well,
New what?
the new attendant booth.
Oh, new attendant booth?
Yeah, the
and then-
entrance.
Okay, and then what, re-roofing it, is that?
It would be re-roofing. So the building where it
Small
currently
building.
stands, fixing up the building with, a new roof, paint, repairing the siding, new toilet fixtures, new lighting. The decking that's currently there, replace that decking because we have to redo the ADA, the handicap ramp doesn't comply. So that would get redone with a new ramp, and all the decking would tie in with the new Ipe decking. And part of that 250 to 300,000 would also include the doing crossover of just stairs and making sure that they are compliant with the codes.
Okay.
How many parking spaces are in this? I know that's not part of this project, but I'm just wondering how
It
many.
turns out it sort of is,
Oh,
because
it's
we
a
did
configuration.
apply for a water quality improvement grant, and there are approximately 200 spaces.
Okay.
That includes the spaces on the road, because when Suffolk County Health Department looks at it, they're not going to say, well, that's road parking, that everybody's using the beach. So we figured it as a recreational facility, 200 spaces, it's 15 gallons per day per parking space. And that's how we came up with the numbers that we used to apply for the water quality improvement grant.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, it seems fine. Where's the money coming from? We're not doing this in-house, you're saying? We're going to go out to bid?
Correct, it will go out to bid, it's already a funded project, it was funded with Park Reserve funds.
Okay, and it'll be less, so we'll have reserve funds left over still.
60.
Yeah, we had budgeted 900,000 for it, so that's currently allocated from the Park Reserve for this project, so
Okay,
that money would return to the Park Reserve.
okay.
Let's go.
Yes, yeah. and,
Which reserve fund is this?
It is a park reserve that covers portions of Bridgehampton, Watermill, and Sagaponack.
Okay. Bridgehampton,
Watermill second.
Watermill, Sagaponic. SYS isn't in this one, right? It's-
No, that's a different park reserve that unfortunately has no funds left in
Right.
it.
The Militia Green is in this park reserve?
Yes,
It's Bridgehampton. This would be Bridgehampton and Watermill?
Bridgehampton, Watermill, and like Sagaponack fall into this park
The
reserve.
Bridgehampton Community Center is in
It's
this?
not a perfect.
I'd
that's-
have to see where the lines are
Well, that's a
drawn.
park district, right?
Yeah.
That's,
So Bridgehampton has a park district also.
right.
Where the Militia Green is in the Bridgehampton Park District.
Okay.
The Bridgehampton Community Center is not in the Bridgehampton Park District.
Okay.
It may fall within the Park Reserve,
Right.
but I think it was out of that
I
boundary.
just know that there's some capital money that's going into that. I was wondering whether the park reserve could be applied. All right.
But the money's there for that already, so it's.
Yes, the money had already been put into a capital fund. It's just lower than the initial cost that we were proposing.
Did we bond for that? No, the money was in the reserve, right?
Yes,
You had the money, okay.
so there's no bonded money here.
So you just really just here to let us know about these changes?
Yes.
I'm fine with it. I
Good
think-
changes, good news, actually.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Could have called this one in.
I
Yeah.
was just missing all
But you
of
did
these.
say.
Okay. Same here,
And
same here.
I do appreciate you wanting to bring this facility up to the level we're trying to get the other facilities like we did with Ponquag, but in this case, it's very complicated.
And
It's
that's gonna
complicated.
be what we face at any kind of improvement to those other beaches along Dune Road, including Scott Cameron. if we were to change what's currently there, we'd have to elevate
Right.
it significantly.
So just
that's
so
the
you know, with
challenge.
Ponquag, the deck is at elevation 21. So they're already
They're there.
up there, and just the way the topography, it's,
You know,
so
at some-
that's why we
At
didn't
some
have to
point,
raise it.
I'd love to talk about Tiana and, you know, the future of that pavilion. I mean, I've watched the ocean sort of rush underneath the deck there at times, and, you know, I'd love to see that pavilion potentially moved a little further back.
Yeah.
And also connected to the life-saving station by Boardwalk and the activity center, like a walkway that would connect them all. But, you know, it's down the road, and we'll have
Yeah.
to figure out how that gets paid for. and
Right.
you know, to what degree we can have a concession over at Tiana. But it's certainly heavily used in one of our largest parking areas. And we have the Marine Center across the street, aquaculture across the street. We've got the newly opening, I don't know when it's going to open, but the life-saving station. And
There's
of
still no
course,
real programming for
That's,
that.
yeah, that's,
You know,
I'm
that's the
involved with that.
And the
for
activity
historic
center
aspect,
is a
so.
great facility, and kind of, to just kind of tie everything together in the future would be nice. We'll have
Yes,
to come up
it
with a
would, and
plan.
it's, I mean, all of our beaches are beautiful, but Tiana, that's kind of near and dear, but
Yeah.
it was, and it really built up this year too, and we had done a restoration project under the pavilion, and replanted it, so that was all looking nice and robust and great. I know that the storm this past weekend came up, but didn't erode anything, so.
It's vulnerable there, though.
It's very vulnerable. Interestingly enough, there used to be a parking lot to the south of that pavilion.
Wow.
So that just goes to show
And
how
there's the
quickly.
the FIMP program, right?
Yeah, I
on
think in the
that.
60s
We're
or
all- that's-
70s.
Yeah, that could change
That
things.
could change things a
That
little,
could things,
but-
when the federal
Yeah.
government puts the sand there,
Mhm.
which we think is soon, you know, within a couple of years.
I'm just right now hoping it's in my lifetime, but
It could be next year, but who knows with the
With
pandemic
everything.
and,
And as you said, the beaches were heavily utilized this summer, and that was with, you know, us kind of bringing different types of permits in over the course of the summer. We initially weren't selling any daily permits, then we sold dailies during the week. We didn't sell any daily permits on the weekends at all, and we were still, you know, at capacity. We were
Sure.
closing beaches at 11:30 on some days on the weekends, so it was a very busy summer, and the beaches are, you know, a major draw here.
can we use this moment to talk about Long Beach and what we're proposing in terms of parking there, so that the board's aware? There's a longstanding agreement, and it probably goes back to when Long Beach was created, not by God, but there may have been a donation involved or something. But as you know, Sag Harbor is split between the town of East Hampton and Southampton. It's a village that crosses
yeah,
town.
that was sent out, I think, to us to review.
Okay.
That was detail on that, I don't know. if
So
we-
we have been treating the East Hampton side, they have the right, we believe, to use Long Beach in some agreement, old agreement with the village.
The
Those,
Foster family, when they donated the beach to the town of Southampton, they included the people of the village of Sag Harbor in the deed,
in the
the
deed.
transfer, yes.
Okay, so what we've been doing through the years is if you lived on the East Hampton side of Sag Harbor, you could, for $40, you could get the beach parking permit that would allow you to park at Foster Beach. But that also, the same pass allowed you to park at any of the town beaches, so you could go to Sag, Maine, or Flying Point, or whatever it was. But you really weren't paying taxes to maintain those other beaches. If you lived on the East Hampton side, you pay East Hampton town taxes. It maintains their beaches, not ours. So we knew that we had to eventually fix this, and we're proposing a fix that basically continues for $40. You can buy it, but now it's a restricted pass. It's restricted to that beach. If you want to buy a non-resident parking pass, you can buy it and we'll discount it by $40, because you're already entitled to $40 worth of beach parking. So that's sort of how we approached it. So it's no change in cost if that's the only beach you're using is Long Beach. you'll be paying, if you're on the East Hampton side, the same as you always paid. But if you want to use the other town beaches, you're going to have to pay for that. But we won't hit you twice. We'll discount it by $40. Does that make sense? Or whatever the cost for that.
Whatever the cost of the
regular-
residence
Whatever.
permit is
Well-
that year.
Thank you for letting me know.
There wasn't.
Well, it hasn't.
Well, that's what's
it hasn't come
proposed.
forward
No,
yet.
I understood that. I knew this was in place
That's what
for
we're
years.
proposing.
And,
Yeah, otherwise, it's a gift. It's not fair, I think, to our taxpayers. East Hampton isn't reciprocating and giving us the use of their beaches. So it makes sense. In fact, they block parking now on Town Line Road. As you know, they've limited their side of the road to East Hampton only. Have we done anything?
I had heard that they stopped ticketing the other side. So it seemed that they eased up after that initial, because what used to happen is that they would let, if you had Southampton or East Hampton permit, they would let you park down there. But this summer, if you didn't have the East Hampton permit, they were ticketing you. So.
Now, on our side of the road, on Town Line Road, we have all no parking signs along there. And people have put rocks out and things like that. Perhaps we should
Is that true?
change that.
Yeah, I don't know, because there's no parking restrictions on, as Tommy John is
There
saying.
It was there.
There's the East Hampton ones, but I mean,
East
there's no,
Hampton, you
I
can
didn't
park
think
there
there
with
was
an
any
East Hampton town
signage on our
permit.
side of it.
I should say there's no parking by permit.
There's
So
no-
that's not under my purview,
There's
so
no
I don't have
parking.
a lot of familiarity with Town Line Road.
Period. And not only that, people who live there, they've put metal barriers out. I mean, it's seemingly on the right of way
It's no
over there.
parking at any time.
Right,
Yeah.
it's just no parking
Right.
on the west side of the, on our
Town
side,
Line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
on
so-
Town Line Road.
Yeah, that hasn't been
I mean,
under
so
my
if
purview.
I'm a Southampton town resident, I'm
yeah,
driving
that's
down there, it
independent
looks
of the
like an
beach,
East Hampton
because-
town beach because
Right, 'cause you
one
have no
side is
place to
East Hampton,
park.
the other side is Southampton, but on our side, it's no parking.
Okay.
So,
So they were letting Southampton permits park on the other
their
side
side.
without ticketing, I guess is what it was, and then they started ticketing.
Well, maybe
in
we
the
have to
summer
start
because of
allowing
COVID.
parking on our side then.
We have no formal agreement to that regard, though. You might have an IMA with them on stuff like that.
With
Make
East
it easier.
Hampton, we could have that
The village-
conversation.
Well, I think it's the Village of Sagaponic on that side.
Is it all, or?
Well, it's our road.
Right, it would be a town highway road.
Yeah,
Um,
so we would have it with whatever, any entity.
mean,
So I don't know how the
we-
village.
We don't want our residents to
wanted
not
it.
be able to use that beach there at the end of Town Line Road.
Yeah, I don't know. how
We need
your-
to fix that.
Yeah, I don't know how your IMA works with. the
do we
village.
know how many people on the East Hampton side in the village of Sag Harbor purchase Southampton town tickets? Is that something that we're
I could
tracking?
find
Is
that out, or I come up with some,
Get
yeah,
Tom
some
involved.
guesstimate on that.
All right. Any other questions for Kristen? Let me just take the opportunity, Kristen, I know this has been a very long summer and fall already, early fall, I guess. You know, your department has been inundated with people and permits and trying to comply with all the, you know, the state guidance with COVID, all the sanitization protocols and 50% capacity and the ever-changing parking restrictions that, you know, my office has imposed, or this, you know,
County
through
calls,
emergency
state calls.
orders. You know, you dealt with the loss of one of your facilities at the playground on, I guess, Forster Avenue. It's been, I know, a hard year for you. I just wanted to publicly thank you again for all the work you've been doing to make sure that these facilities are well-maintained and open and available for our public so that they could get outside and be safe and get some fresh air and exercise and enjoy the, you know, extraordinary vistas and amenities of our parks. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I'll echo that, too.
Yeah.
And I'm amazed that you still answer my phone calls. I just, it's a lot of work. I think people don't really appreciate what you brought your department through, particularly, you know, we entered into these calls with the county and with the state, and this constant trying to get updates and understanding that took a lot of patience, so I salute you for that, and thank you, too. A lot of people are appreciative of it, so I echo the supervisor's
As a
sentiment.
town resident, using the beaches,
Maybe she had to
Heard this.
retrain all of her staff
Yeah.
to understand the social distancing requirements, mask wearing requirements, and how to put signage everywhere, sanitizing stations. Just this tremendous amount of work reconfiguring entryways, so
It's been a shock to
going
the
one way
system.
versus
It's-
another, writing, complicated plans for reopening. It hasn't been easy, but, I'd like to say you made it through, but we're not.
We're not done yet.
We'll get there, but we're getting there. We're getting through it because of you, so thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate all your guys' support. I mean, we wouldn't have been where we were without that, and without you guys supporting, moving forward with getting those beaches open, realizing how important that was for everybody at that time. Even I was a little hesitant at some points at the beginning, maybe we should wait a little longer, but we did, and, as far as I know, everybody stayed safe and healthy, and we had, in terms of our life-saving crew, we had no loss of life.
That's great.
Which is always, of course.
We have we've kept a couple beaches open longer than usual, too,
We
right?
did. This will be the last weekend. We have staff at Ponquag Beach and Sagmain Beach on the weekend.
Lifeguarding staff.
Lifeguarding staff and attendant staff.
Right, normally, we would not be still providing lifeguards, right?
Typically, we do not have any staff after Labor
Labor
Day,
Day.
but we knew with the revised school schedules that we may see more usage at the beaches in the shoulder season this year, and we wanted to make sure that we had
Good.
those
That's great.
facilities to
And with
offer.
more people means also more garbage. How is that going? Have we been able to keep up with the garbage collection?
The garbage is always an issue in the summer, in particular, but, I have to say, everybody was pretty good this season. We do have our hot spots, like Road H. But Long Beach,
Yeah,
I felt like was a bit of a victory.
yeah.
Because I do feel like that improved significantly.
Did
with
those big belly, trash compactors help?
With yes, and just the signage and, having some cameras there. That
No,
beach
I think
gets
that's a success. I'd take a lot more.
That beach
credit
gets
for that
day
one.
and night.
tremendous
There's
use.
more people
I'm
there
sure
at
you
night
know,
than
and
by day.
I think it's more use, between like 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. than even
People
during
go there
the
for the
day.
sunset, and then they make their little fires on the beach and things like that.
But we
Yeah, but I'd like to
really-
explore some of those in other areas as well, in the future.
Yeah,
They work well.
they're a good
and-
investment.
I think in COVID, like a lot of people this year, like they would get takeout,
Mm-hmm.
and then it would go, they would eat it there. They would eat it at Long Beach, view of the water, but then, when they're done with their meal, they've got the paper bag and the containers and all that other stuff, and most people, I think, were responsible and put it in the receptacles, but those big bellies, I think they worked, I think they helped.
I think it also like sent a message, because we had the recycling units next to them. We had big signs that say carry in what you carry out, and that
That helped,
that
yeah.
ultimately I think is really the message that we're going to want to convey everywhere. And I know Councilman Martell wanted to work on getting that signage pretty much at every beach and road end location as well.
It's a well-understood
that,
phrase. People react to it properly.
Yeah, because people take one pizza box and shove it in our garbage can, and now, you put in a couple other items and things are flying all over the place. If you bring a pizza box, take it with you.
Yeah. What about, was it Rick or John, you worked on this, maybe with Kiwanis Club or something, there was gonna be some baskets at some of the beaches?
Oh, yeah, we just did that. That was actually a young group, two young kids who raise oysters, and they called Relic, and they.
Did that
they
happen,
had-
though? Did
Yep,
they go-
yep,
go out?
they
Are they being
started
used?
that. We had it out at Cooper's Beach. I don't know,
So,
So
suggested
the
that
idea is
for other
that people
beaches.
could voluntarily go and do their own beach?
They would
pickup?
have a basket, they could voluntarily pick up garbage and then return
Did they
it.
have little plastic gloves or something, so they don't have to touch the garbage?
No,
they would have to bring those themselves, but.
this came later,
yeah.
late in the year.
Not a bad idea, we
We'll
can have a
good
little
test
plastic
next
glove
year.
thing, but.
So we, the Rotary, Hampton Bays Rotary had donated 2 stations last year that we had at Ponquag and Tiana, and it has the baskets, which are great because now you're not bringing a plastic bag to put your garbage into, and now
Right.
making another plastic bag in the garbage. So they worked out well there, and then, as you were saying, the young man from West Hampton, Eden Kravitz, and his group Relic, I think it's called, they actually get sponsorships to build the units, and we just installed one at Pikes Beach about a week or two ago. They have 5 more units ready to go.
I'm sorry, I said Cooper's, you're right.
Oh, no. They have 5 more units
3 more.
ready to go and install.
I've gotten funding from like Southampton Kiwanis and some of the local groups, so I think I have funding for 3 more.
So,
great.
and then,
That's great.
and 3 more. So we
That's
already
great.
have some, I think we have all the locations picked out already.
And we're still raking the beaches, that's worked
We
out?
raked the beaches a lot this summer,
good.
and we're still raking them right now.
And
So
and Long Beach you raked, I think that was like the first time, right?
we did. It was the first time we used the machine there.
Right, is that the newer machine? Because we bought one.
It was the newer one. Yeah, the older one wouldn't, I don't think have been able
That's
to.
good,
do
that's
that,
good, though.
but-
So we have rakes, we're east of the canal, west of the canal, and
Yeah, we did a lot of raking. We
That really
really
makes a big
allocated a lot of
difference.
staffing towards that this summer, and it did, and people, commented on how wonderful the beaches looked this summer.
okay. Are you using that vacuum truck at all?
Yeah, they use that around the parks a lot.
Parking lots and things like that?
Yeah, in the
That's
park,
good.
parking lots and like
You know,
off
'cause-
in the brush areas.
I didn't specifically in the budget for the town litter crew for next year, because it was sort of a COVID thing. There is money in public safety budget, there's some, part-time money that could be used for that. We'll have to decide whether that, because I think that
They were
worked out-
great, I
out
have to
really well
say.
this year.
They were not under my department.
Right, but you could call on them.
But we were in close communication with them, and we would coordinate with them, and they were really, really great.
I sort of would like to make that sort of a permanent seasonal type of operation. Every year we do it.
I think it's highly dependent on the crew, and it is a great crew.
They had a really good
They
crew.
just
They
were
really did.
phenomenal,
Yeah.
responsive, and, I think that you have to do that carefully, but I agree with you, I think it's been really successful.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that in the budget, whether we want to specifically program money for that, It can be done under public safety. There's enough money there, I think, for that. But what about the sunscreen dispensers? Are those working out?
Yep, they
They
were
getting used?
they were reinstalled at all the locations that they had been last year, which is pretty much every beach and park location throughout the town, and we had those all summer. They're still out there. They'll be coming in soon. So
Let me ask you about the portable restrooms. Where did they end up?
we
They
put.
were at at Good Ground. They got moved, right?
Oh,
They
you're
were-
talking about the big mobile
The
unit?
mobile bathrooms.
Yeah.
Were we going to bring them over to Hot Dog Beach? Or?
We had talked about that, the concern for a location like that is the environment. It'd probably get beat up pretty badly in the salt water at a beach location.
Because we don't have any bathrooms at Hot Dog, and it's
We had portable restrooms there, just porta-johns.
porta potties.
Yeah.
And that beach gets a lot of use, Hot Dog Beach.
Matt could attest to that, yeah, that's
Quite
his
a bit.
beach.
That's my beach.
Yeah, so I
During the
would,
summer,
maybe.
Very crowded.
We keep exploring a way to bring the bathroom there. I think the only way is to do it, we had in our plans of Hot Dog Beach when we just redid the decking there last season or 2 seasons ago, of phase 2, which would connect the current deck to another platform that would house a restroom and potentially like a concession area. Because we've been mulling over ways to do it without elevating it, but I don't know if
Wouldn't
that's
that,
gonna be possible.
where is that trailer with the bathrooms?
We have it at Parks Maintenance.
Right, so it could have been at, to me, it could go at Hot Dog Beach. Do we have running water there? We do, right?
The water is not brought into the property at this time, but we do want to run it in.
So, yeah, we do.
Yeah, but it's not
It
made
is
out of 60,
It's at the
61
street.
aluminum. That's,
It's
I
on-
think
it's
the
at the
concern
street.
was it would dissolve in the salt
Can
and
you-
wind over there. That was, because it's a big investment, so you got to be a little careful.
Is it? It
about
was like,
I think it was maybe about $40,000.
$40,000.
Yeah.
Hot Dog also still has the sanitary system from the Pavilion Restaurant. That's still there. We didn't touch
Yeah,
that.
the sanitary
It has-
system's there, so I thought
Yeah.
it'd be kind of easy to
It'd be
connect
easier to do that.
the temporary unit.
Can it be hooked up to the two?
We did
I'm not a
run
big-
electric into the facility
I'm not a big
last
fan
year.
of porta potties, you know, particularly
Well,
at a beach where you,
yeah.
how many parking spaces?
Well, especially during COVID, I think it's not, you know, it's not
How many
probably.
spaces do we have there?
At Hot Dog,
over 100 spaces.
over 100, yeah. No, I think maybe it was,
Cut it in half.
90?
There's like 155 all total, but then the parking lot was cut in half.
well, this
so-
season.
Oh, yeah, but
we
no, in a
cut it-
normal
oh,
season.
Yeah, normally, yeah, about 100.
Could we have, we don't have to decide now, but maybe we could use that facility there next year, get it hooked into water
Try
and,
it.
and have this hooked into our septic system, you know, because we have the septic system
Oh,
there.
let's look at it. Let's look at it.
Because that's a lot of people to not have a bathroom.
See, I have a totally different memory of Hot Dog Beach from the
Yeah.
70s. Yeah.
And we have, you know, we have two food trucks there?
One,
One, okay.
which,
The-
yeah, he
the
wasn't
taco.
there that much this summer.
But it would be nice if you had a spot where you could wash your hands and things like that. I don't know.
We did set up a
Any-
nice little station for like a 50 amp electric unit for him.
Yeah, we did set up electric, we brought that into the property for the
Yeah.
food truck.
So he didn't have to run his generator, so he could just plug in.
Is there a reason why they weren't there?
Because he had a store
never-
in West
I
Hampton
think he
Beach.
was, yeah, I think he was challenged with the circumstances of COVID and everything.
There were,
Not
wasn't
enough
there a
people.
point where you were not allowed to
He-
have concessions open? during the
Well-
pandemic?
There was, yeah, early on there was.
Right.
Yeah, technically, yeah,
Right,
there were
because they
some
didn't want people queuing up anywhere.
right.
So it was probably a
He
pandemic.
had started a storefront not too long before the summer,
Mm-hmm.
and he was grappling with trying to keep that economically going because he wasn't getting as much business as he anticipated with that, and I think he was just having trouble keeping both things floating.
Yeah, I mean, he was Main Street, West Hampton Beach,
Yeah.
which, once the improvements were done, I mean, now West Hampton Beach is
It
packed.
it was
Yeah.
tough for, it was
And
really
During
tough.
that construction period, it was really hard for,
Yeah, for all the
Businesses,
vendors, yeah,
yeah.
they all the retail.
now it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Go Through there on a,
Is it popular now?
Yeah,
It looks really nice.
That's
yeah,
great.
it came out well. I'm waiting for the second phase to hook up to Goreski.
Mm.
That's the big deal.
That's all good news.
Yeah.
I mean, our downtowns need help. So, any other questions for Kristen?
No.
All right, back to work.
All right,
you guys.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Kristen, thanks for everything.
Matt, how's the life-saving station? Is it almost?
the life-saving station is, not that it's on hold, but the last time we were there, it hasn't changed since that
Really?
time, yeah.
We're struggling with programming for
It's the
that.
programming, it's
Yeah.
trying to find a steward that would occupy it. So I think the thought maybe is to just fix up the site so that it's at least more presentable, not necessarily go inside and do a full-blown, complete the restoration, because if we complete the restoration, then who's going to occupy it? And if,
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken with Cornell about, because they do the Marine Center programs and then some of the eelgrass programs, they need some facility, but it's basically, that would be office, it wouldn't bring people to the life-saving stations, which is what I think we need to do. And I know the supervisor talked about that connection, as a walkway, that would make a big difference.
I mean, if you
think
could
you
do
would
a
have
self-guided
people
tour,
there,
maybe
but
of it.
it's a
Yeah.
matter of.
Well, that's what they planned now, sort of a museum.
Self-guided tour, maybe you can download an app.
You
and
walk
can
through the
walk around
museum,
and-
but I think it's so passive that without, good access, as
I'd
you
love to
say.
get a food truck there and some picnic tables after COVID on that deck. There's a very big deck there.
It's a huge deck, it's one of the
And-
biggest.
And it'd be nice to be able to sit out and,
Facility decks.
if you had a food truck, you probably have a lot of customers because of that deck.
Yeah, and it's also the walkable beach too, because I see a lot of people come down there,
Yeah.
they're always walking
Park
that
at
direction.
Tiana,
Yeah.
walk all the way down and then loop back, and it's a nice. it's a
Yeah.
nice
It would be
walk.
really nice.
Yeah.
And if we had a walkway connector from Tiana, a boardwalk basically, to there, you'd have a gorgeous view from that boardwalk.
Right.
Because I'd like to expand the facility, the Marine Center, the original intent was to widen that, just that everything came to a grinding halt, but they're struggling right now.
Right.
Cornell is.
I was thinking
I'm worried
too-
about that.
Yeah,
to loop in the Coast Guard, because, I mean, this was the original Coast Guard, you know, for the country. So if somehow that could get looped in, you know, who knows?
That's interesting.
But it's just a matter of trying to find the right steward. I know the Amagansett Life Saving Station, that was done differently. You know, it wasn't done through the CPF in East Hampton, so they can do different fundraising.
It's more challenging, but because CPF, we have the revenues, and I don't know if that boardwalk could be a CPF project. It may be, because accessibility typically, Tiana, was that a CPF purchase, or no, that's before
No.
CPF? The activity center might have been,
The activity center was a CPF purchase.
and the life-saving was a CPF, so.
But it's, yeah, you can
then
only do so
connecting
much
it,
with
it-
it under CPF.
It might be, though.
Yeah, you have to
I know
check.
the.
It's accessibility stuff you can
You can.
pay for some, you know,
Yeah.
accessibility
It's
to.
worth looking into. I'm not saying we should do it this year or even next year, but maybe down the road. Be a nice project.
Yeah, it's a beautiful building. I mean, it's one of a few in the country that are that model. And it's
Are
really
you
nice.
involved with Tupper Boathouse?
Yes.
Is that you too?
Yep.
What's going on with that?
The
Lifted?
stabilization phase, which was lifting it up, doing the new foundation, and then setting it back down on the new foundation, that is done. Now, the next phase would be a complete restoration of it. And I know, you know, Lisa, I thought had spoken with you guys about the cost of the restoration. That would be, I want to compare it to the Rogers House, but that's a big chunk of money to,
Well, that's my next question is.
Now, that was supposed to
Put
be,
at
that was
Sienna,
supposed to
or
be
at,
a private, you know, at some point, like a boat building facility, you know, that group, that's
that
what
group
they
is
had.
still there. They're
Yeah.
still active. They keep asking.
So Mark
us.
should, you know, be doing,
No, I keep getting emails from him where we have to put out an RFP to hire an architect and engineer to do the full set of plans to restore it. But it was a matter of spending $3.5 to $4 million of the CPF money at that location, and, you know, it just, the timing didn't seem right now.
yeah.
Not necessarily, you know, 2 months from now, but it just,
Right, CPF revenues are still strong, which is good, but, you know, these historic restoration projects are very expensive. You know, I know I was talking with
They are. It's a
with
big
John and
building.
Lisa yesterday about the old lodge at the Girl Scout camp, and whether that's a historic building, and whether that, because I hate to see that fall into disrepair. There's a tree that's sort of hanging over it that I'm a little concerned about.
It's got a roof leak, it's got some
that
problems.
might, we might have
Might have to
money
take that one
budgeted
tree
for that.
down.
It's got to get landmarked first, though.
Yeah, I had gone down that road a couple of years ago to see if it could potentially be historically landmarked, and
I think it
they
would
had
probably-
deemed it no at that point. And
Yeah.
they
We're
actually
looking
went through
into it.
I think
landmark.
Stephanie had come down to actually look at it, and
I
think
could
there's
send,
been
I
some.
Julie
could forward
Julie Green
the-
was looking
the-
at it.
Yeah.
I put information together, I could forward it to Julie, because I put a whole
That, yeah, that would be
report
good.
together.
And to,
Yeah, it's an old building.
Yeah, because that's the angle I was trying to play of what it was previously.
That's, what a great spot that is. John
It
and I were
is,
there
it's really-
just yesterday and, you know, walked out to the edge of the cliff there. Just the vista is so gorgeous. Yeah, it's really an underutilized facility and,
Yeah.
you know, I think a real treasure for the town.
Right, a place like that is priceless.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just
Incredible.
has
And,
a
you
sort
know,
of sereneness about it that's,
And I said sort of casually to John, I said, look, you know, the kids growing up today, they need those experiences. They need to be able to, you know, they understand about global warming, they understand, but actually connecting them to nature, to understand, you know, to have that, that love of the outdoors that, you know, that we had, that, you know, part of who we are today and why we care so much about the environment. You know, today's kids need that too. They need those experiences to go camping in the woods or to be able to, you know, stand there and look at this sort of awe-inspiring view. You know, we have to be able to provide that to them. And that's, you know, that's a place where, you know, everybody should be able to visit at least once, you know. It's a shame that it's sort of not used. It's almost never used. Boy Scouts a little bit.
Yeah, people walk the trails, the ticks are very bad there, so
Yeah.
that deters a lot of people, but yeah,
Yeah, you could
it needs a
look-
plan.
You could fix that.
Yeah.
I mean, you could open up the
Yeah,
walkways a little wider, get rid of all that leaf debris.
Sort
You
of
know?
like the Quag Wildlife Refuge,
That's- yep.
if you have a trail system like that,
Yeah, yeah.
And it's wide,
wide.
and there's kind of like wood chips.
go through
Would
there.
They're there, they've just, the edges have grown in, and, they're marked. You can actually, you can find a way to actually get over 24. You could find a way to trail all the way to Good Ground Park from there, it's just kind of,
Yeah.
it's kind of cool, so.
And,
Rogers House.
Yeah, Rogers House.
Okay, so
Nathaniel
Rogers House.
We approved the final piece of that.
Yes,
The cupola and the
and
balustrades.
The cupola is being built off-site at a woodworking shop in Mauritius. I don't know the exact date of the craning of the cupola onto the building, but it's mid-October, so it's coming, it's in a few weeks.
Cool.
And then the last part of the puzzle will be the shutters.
What about the balustrades?
Those are going up currently.
They're going
So-
up now?
Yeah, so the lower roof has them. All the lower roofs have
I
them.
haven't seen it yet.
The,
Must have just gone up, because I didn't see it a few days ago.
Yeah, no, I have actually Julie Green had sent me a photo of when she drove past. They're up on the lower roofs. So the
Maybe I didn't
upper roof,
notice it.
It's not up yet. But the shutters being fabricated, and those will be the last piece of the building restoration, which might be like end of October. But I think the cupola setting is gonna be kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I'd like to see
So
that.
then, in terms of opening to the public, early next year, end of this year?
Depends on the steward,
Yeah, I mean, they have a strong steward.
Yeah, that's what I worry about Tupper Boathouse, because I think we need to revisit that a little bit.
And
They're gonna be a
They
strong
have the
steward, too, I
Corwith
think.
property
Yeah,
too, right?
we need to get it going, though. I think
Yes.
it's lagged, so.
What's their plans with the old Martyrs building? Because, how many buildings is the Bridgehampton Historical Society going to occupy?
I don't think they'll need the Martyrs building once they fully move into the Rogers
Because
house.
I get asked about that building for other uses all the time.
The
So,
Waters
think
building
it was
is not
in poor
historic either.
condition,
And the
yeah.
fact that it's on the CPF property
right, but it could it be used by the community in any way, or
could be used.
by different groups?
I know that the Bridgehampton Historical Society wants to use it. They would love to keep using it.
I know, but they have
Yeah.
Corwith and they have Nathaniel Rogers.
Right.
How much did they get
Yeah,
to use? If they're going to use
I
I
it
know
for
that that building needs
archives.
a lot of work.
Was the roof
The
fixed?
Martyrs needs a lot of work.
I know it was leaking and
Yeah.
Leaking, there's a lot of, you
there's collections in there.
might have to dump
Yeah, but
$500,000 into it to like bring it
Really?
up to,
Wow.
I don't know.
Well, it's,
I'm just throwing a number out.
We have a lot of
That
buildings
is
like
an
that.
assessment on
and that's not
building.
historic, so we won't be able to use CPF money
No.
on that. But I think we need to talk about, what user groups could use that building. And we have a community house, though we don't manage it, but we'll have to see, because it's right next to Nathaniel Rogers. It could have a,
All part of the loop too, like the
Yeah.
parking lot that we set up behind Rogers House.
Part of the loop.
Loops through, right past the Martyrs building.
I mean, it could be additional museum type of function there, I don't know.
We're also going to remove that chain link fence, so that's all getting removed. And then
Oh,
there's
good.
gonna be a replica of the historic fence that was there.
And that's being privately paid for, right?
That's being paid for by the
Donations,
museum. Mhm.
that's good.
Cool.
But it has to go through the town procurement policy, procedure, so we're involved in doing that right now.
I know none of this was on the agenda, but I really appreciate it,
It's okay,
because
I'm
we,
right
every
here.
once in a while, we need to get updates on these things, and Kristen's probably wishing she hadn't come today.
No,
Much longer.
it's fine.
No, it was good to be able to get, caught up, it's
Yeah.
come to a screeching halt on these things for obvious
There's
reasons,
a lot going
so.
on, yeah.
Foster Playground, is that underway?
Yeah, we anticipate, I actually have a meeting on site today just to confirm orientation of the equipment and all that, and install is probably gonna start in a week or two. So,
Maritime Park, is that going out to bid? or-
that is we're getting a revised proposal from Arrays, because they have to
The numbers
edit.
were too high?
revise- We went out to bid, they came back way too high, more than double the amount of our budget. So they're revising the plans down to a smaller scope of work, and they're supposed to have a proposal to us by the end of this week.
Okay.
Okay.
Pickleball courts at SYS?
A resolution should be going on in October to go out to bid on those.
Okay.
We did put plans together. We got an estimate from proposal from somebody who was on a contract, and it came back very high, so we're gonna go out to bid and see what that comes back at instead.
Okay, so when do those get built? In the spring then?
Yeah, we're hoping, once the temperatures are warm enough in the winter, spring to do it.
Okay,
So the plan is, to move forward at that point on those.
all right. Any other capital? I'm trying to think, repairs. Lobster Inn, anything going on there?
I think that's still in Lisa's court with some of the documents that need to be straightened out.
That's for the marina repairs, right? Okay.
Yeah. And the commercial dock, we are pretty much shovel-ready once we have the budget to go, we're ready to go out to bid on that.
And that's bulkheading and decking, or just bulkheading?
It's all the
Bulkhead.
whole entire bulkhead replacement, because the bulkheading that's there now it's timber, it's a little bit too short, and when some of the boats turn, it's deteriorated, but they're also washing out, and so the parking lot is slowly falling into the water.
2 spots, right?
Yeah, so it's
That's a
it's
big
to
project.
redo that, to raise the electric, to redo the electric system, and a few other miscellaneous things there.
When you say raise the electric, right now, currently it's below the dock, it's going to be above?
No, not raising that portion, but raising the meter banks.
Oh, yeah.
And all that. So
Okay.
we met with PSE&G at the site.
Mhm.
They're going to run a utility pole down to where the current meter bank setup is, but that meter bank can get flooded
Right.
in certain, really bad storms. So that would get elevated. And then, it's still going to feed from there with conduits and wires, but those, if that has water in it, it's okay. It'll drain out, but it's the whole meter bank assembly that we're proposing to raise.
And